right, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Black Girl Interrupted. Y'all already know who it is. It's your girl Ash. Let me pull my microphone a little closer because I really be feeling like I be screaming and knowing I could pull this microphone a little closer. But anyway, happy Tuesday. I hope everyone is having a great day so far. Y'all, I am tired. When I tell you I am wore the hell down. Like, when I tell you I'm so tired of talking to these people on this damn phone, but you know what? I do it because guess what? The only way to support my dream is to fund my dream is I got to work a 9 to 5. But once that is over, baby, and this becomes full time, I'm gonna be my own damn boss. But anyway, y'all already know how I get started. There go my sister right there. Hey, sissy, with your pretty self. Imma talk to you after this show is over because I got some ideas that I wanna bring to you that I wanna do on my show. But anyway, y'all already know how I start my shows off. Y'all already know I do my mental health check-ins. And with what I'm talking about tonight, y'all, let me say this. Tonight's conversation is gonna get real deep. It may trigger some people, but it's imperative because this is happening far too often, and I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of reading about it. It's people that see this and say nothing. So it's time for me. Hey, boo. Hey, my baby. So it's time for me to bring this conversation to the forefront. Like I said, I am going to warn you, go ahead and grab some Kleenex because tonight's conversation, yeah, it's gonna get a little deep, a little triggering. So I'm gonna go ahead. Like I said, y'all know I normally start my shows with something uplifting and empowering. So I'm gonna play this because I really want people to get mentally prepared for this conversation. And then we're gonna jump right on into it. So y'all drop in the comments. Let me know how you feeling today. Like I said, it's Tuesday. How's your week been? How have you been these last few days? How have you been these last couple of weeks? This last week. Um, but I do want to let you know that your mental health does matter. Um, that you're not alone, that you don't suffer in silence. There are resources out here. Um, if you feel like you need help, go get it. Do everything you can to protect your mental. You don't owe anybody anything if you just go ghost and you stop talking to people. You don't owe anybody that. Because you have to do whatever you have to do to protect your mental peace. So that's all I'm gonna say. But for me, mentally, I'm in a good place. Mentally, I am. I'm in a good space. Yes, Father's Day is coming. Um, and it doesn't sting as much. Let me just say that it doesn't hurt as much as the first two Father's Days, but I still have my moment. But other than that, I'm here. I love you guys. Again, I appreciate all the love, the support that you guys consistently give me each and every episode that I bring to y'all. But I told y'all I was gonna stay consistent with doing my show, so here I am. But again, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video because someone may need to hear this today. Someone may have needed to hear this yesterday. Someone may have needed to hear it last week. But this is for you. I love you. And then after this, we're gonna get into tonight's conversation.
What's stopping you? Are you too tired? Didn't get enough sleep? Don't have enough energy? Don't have enough time? Is that what's stopping you right now? Don't have enough money? Is that the thing? Or is the thing that's stopping you, you?
Excuses sound best to the person that's making them up. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get off the pity potty. Telling everybody your sad and sob stories, trying to get people to show up to your pity potties and your pity parades. If you ever see me in a Rolls Royce, a 6 or 7-star hotel, living my life to the fullest, don't get jealous of me, because I worked my ass off to get it. Nobody handed me nothing. Wake your ass up. Awaken the beast inside. It's game on. It's go season. It's time for you to take advantage of the access and the resources that you have in your country and your community. You got a problem with your life. You got a problem with your environment. Do something about it. If you want it, go get it.
Recognize the excuses are not valid. They're conjured up, they're fabricated, they're lies. And how do you stop the lies? You stop the lies with the truth. And the truth is, you have time. You have the skill, you have the knowledge and the support and the willpower and the discipline to get it done.
The fruit of everything good in life begins with a challenge. Everything is uphill that's worthwhile. And it's not going to come to you, and it's not going to fall in your lap, and it's not going to be something that, oh my God, it just was so simple. It's always going to be difficult.
If you want it, you gotta go get it.
This is your chance. This is your shot. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your place. This is your opportunity.
This is my time. This is my moment. Tomorrow. Ain't no such thing as tomorrow. We only got today. It's your dream. If you wanted to have it, get your butt up and make it happen. If you wanted to have it, rise and grind.
You still got work to do. Stay on that basketball court. Stay on that football field. It's grind season, homie.
Y'all, so like I say, every episode, y'all know I have to play something encouraging, empowering, and I specifically chose that video because it's grind season for me. And I want anyone that's out trying to live their dream, don't stop. Somebody's watching you, hoping that you'll fail, but win and make them drown. So that's why I show up consistently. I show up every Tuesday, every Thursday. I show my face because I know somebody's watching. I know someone's going to say, you know what? I'm proud of you. You didn't stop. Regardless of how many people show up and support me, I'm never going to stop the grind, baby. The hustle never stops for me because I got 3 children that I got to stand in the midst of this storm for. You know, I got to make it happen. So I say that to anybody, whatever dream that you have, whatever goal, whatever aspiration you have, you got to get up and get it. No matter how many times you fall down, you got to get back up. Don't stop. Mm. All right. So, like I say, y'all drop in the comments. Let me know how you feeling. Hey, BB, how you doing? Hey, Sissy, how are you? All right. So tonight's conversation. So y'all know after every show, I always say if there's ever a topic that you want me to bring to the forefront, if there's ever something you want me to talk about, um, that you feel I may be the best person to talk about it, send me an email. So I got an email a couple of weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, with regards to a particular topic. So I was supposed to have gone live and done this episode last week, but I had to think about my mental because this subject is very near and dear to my heart. Anyone that knows me knows that I love children. And every day, every other day, hell, every 20, 30 minutes, I see something that pops up with regards to a child being abused and killed. So I ask you, go grab your Kleenex, your tissues, because like I say, this is it's near and dear to my heart. because this hits home. This hits home. Every day, 1 in 4 Black children are abused and killed at the hands of their parents or a loved one, whether it's a brother, whether it's a sister, mom, dad, cousins, uncle, but it's really affecting the Black community the most. So I'm not saying that child abuse does not happen in the white community, it does. But with these numbers, it's affecting the Black community more than any other community in the world. Whites, Asians, Latinos, Black children rank the highest. So I pulled a few stories that I was very familiar with, some that I followed all the way from the beginning, all the way to the sentencing of the parents, and I wanted to bring those stories to you tonight. Um, Trigger warning, there may be some conversations in these videos, that may be triggering to some, but this is what happens to these children every day. So, to the person that sent me the email, pray for me. Pray for my mental, because I know I can get through this episode. If I can talk about my story and the things that I've been through in my life, I know I can get through this one. My sister says she's feeling great. Keep pushing. I am. That'll never stop. My hustle and my grind will never stop because I know where I'm trying to go. I know where I want to be. And no matter how many times I fall down, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna keep going. So tonight's topic is child abuse. Is this the new epidemic? Pandemic, whatever y'all want to call it. And when again, like I say, y'all, I always ask if there's ever a topic, a conversation, something you want me to talk about, send me an email. I always ask. So a young lady sent me this simply because just recently there was a 6-year-old little girl in Bronx, New York, who was beaten to death by her mother. The saddest part about this story is that the neighbors heard this baby screaming for her life at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And not one person called the police. Not one person got up to go knock on the door to see what was going on. This story really upset me because I said, how in the hell can you listen to a child begging, pleading, and screaming for her life and you do nothing? I don't get it. I don't. Let me relax a little bit because I don't want my blood pressure to get all railed up. Jules says, "Sis, I told you that you could get through this show." Yeah, I am. I'm gonna push through it. I prayed about it. Um, and apparently God feels like I'm the person to hold this conversation, to hold this space tonight. But I want to know, is child abuse, is this the new epidemic? Because 1 in every 4 child is killed at the hands of their parents or a loved one, a friend. I want to first say this. If this is why you're having children, stop. These children do not ask to come here. These babies are innocent. What can a 6-year-old child do that would warrant you to beat them to the point that you killed them? What can a 3-month-old baby do to you that would warrant you to beat a child to the point that you kill them or you permanently injure them? I feel like every person that unalives a child, if it's a man, I feel like you should be castrated with no medication. You women that are having these children and are killing your children, I feel like you should have a hysterectomy with no anesthesia. I feel like you should feel every ounce of pain that you have inflicted on these children. That's the way I feel. Y'all should let the people handle that. Stop sending them to court. Let the public handle these people. But I'm so tired of seeing these stories. 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 6-year-old, 10-year-old, 3 months old, 18 months old that are being brutally murdered, sexually assaulted, and abused, mistreated. How could you do that? You have to be one sick ass individual to sit up there and do that to a child. I just, for the life of me, I will never understand. The first young lady that I want to talk about, her name is Jalea Eason. This baby was 6 years old and was beaten to death by her mother. This is the young lady from the Bronx who neighbors reported hearing this child screaming for her life. And then it went silent. I just don't understand. How could you do that to a child? They do not ask to come here. They don't. Y'all, these children, these babies really don't ask to come here. But for you to brutalize this child in the manner that you did, a hot place in hell waits for you. This is Jalea. This is the 6-year-old that was murdered at the hands of her mother. And the mother has only been charged with child welfare, I believe, something like that. She hasn't even been charged with murder. There was a TikTok video where the mother was calling this baby weird, and you could see the fear in this child's eyes. The baby, you could see her, she had a black eye that was healing, and she had a Band-Aid on her forehead. This child. Jules says we have to stop. Calmly, these people are sick and call them what they truly are. These motherfuckers are evil and demonic. Absolutely, because I really just don't understand what would warrant you. What could this child have done for you to beat her the way that you did? And this was not the first time. When police arrived, the other 2 children had bruises on them as well. Here's her story. And then we'll jump back into the conversation.
A Bronx mother is facing charges this morning, just 2 days after the death of her 6-year-old daughter. The little girl was found bruised and unresponsive in a home she shared with 2 other children. CBS 2's Christina Fan joins us live from the Bronx with the latest on this tragic story. Christina?
Well, Doug, good morning. The mother now faces charges of acting in a manner injurious to a child, but those charges could be upgraded once an autopsy is complete and the medical examiner's office rules if this was a homicide. Police say 26-year-old Lanaya Eason placed the 911 call that brought officers to the 12th floor of the Forest houses, where they found a 6-year-old unresponsive early Friday morning. The mother claims she was home with her 3 children and woke during the night to find Jalea unconscious with marks on her wrist and torso.
Anyone that live close enough can hear those kids from time to time.
This neighbor, who lives one floor below, questioned that day if the mother was telling the full truth. She described on several occasions hearing children crying, running back and forth. Their screams at times were deafening.
Anybody who's a mom who has kids is heartbreaking.
Paramedics rushed Jalaya to the hospital, where less than an hour later she was pronounced dead. Inside the apartment, officers also found an 8-year-old boy and 3-year-old girl. Sources say both had signs of bruising and ligature marks indicating restraints. The 8-year-old told police his mother had hit him in the past.
I'm so heartbroken. This is disgusting. I don't even know her and I'm hurt.
It's just really shocking. Everybody keeps to themselves here.
And police sources say the family's apartment was filthy and in disarray. The mother also had 2 prior ACS cases involving the 8-year-old boy. Live from the Morrisania section of the Bronx, Christina Fan, CBS 2 News.
Christina, thank you.
That's the one part of this story that I don't understand. Is you take these children, you remove, let me back up. You remove these children from the home only to put them right back in the same situation that you removed them from. And 9 times out of 10, they end up dead. This woman had 2 cases against her for her oldest child. Why would you allow those children to go back into that situation? Yes, I get it. I understand. Before y'all jump on your soapbox, I get it. I understand. Oh, they're so backed up and there's so many children in the system. Give those children to a family member if you don't want them. If this is the way you're going to treat your children, give your children to somebody that's going to take care of these children properly. There are too many people out, there are too many women out here who cannot have children, and y'all are having babies to kill them. We as a community continue to fail these children, and the system continues to fail these children. Like I just said, 1 in every 4 child is killed at the hands of a loved one, whether it's a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a cousin, an uncle, somebody. But these children are being failed. And I don't, and what, for the life of me, I don't understand why people are not more enraged about this. This could be your child. I get it. It's not enough caseworkers. Their loads, they're overloaded. I get it. I totally understand. But I want to talk about the caseworkers that lie on their paperwork and say, oh, they've been to check on the child, and they haven't. You haven't been to see the child in 6 months. You haven't been to see the child in 1 year. But you're padding your paperwork saying that you have. And then the child ends up dead. Or the child ends up permanently injured. I don't understand. These neighbors, you heard this baby screaming. And you did nothing. Not only did the system fail Jalea, not only did her mother fail Jalea, but the community failed. Because y'all heard this. And you did nothing. You didn't call the police. You didn't get up and try to kick the door in to see what's going on. You hear this baby screaming. But you got up and did nothing. And now an innocent life is taken so brutally. And then these 2 other children living in filth with bruises. And then the mother already had 2 previous cases against the 8-year-old. Jules says that shit was sad. Yes, that baby was so terrified to even look in her direction as if she felt that would warrant some form of punishment or abuse. Did you see her? Like, it's when I saw the video, it broke my heart. I just wanted to jump through the screen and I wanted to just hold and hug and love that baby and tell her, "You're loved, you're special, you're beautiful, you're not a weirdo." But here we are, another baby taken. Jewel says child protection is truly failing these children. Absolutely. She say, meanwhile, sending them back into a fucked up situation, knowing that the abuse is taking place, is sad all the way around. Absolutely. And we see this all the time. I remember here in Houston, a lot of y'all remember, I was posting about her, Malia Davis, beautiful little girl who went missing. And the boyfriend lied and said, oh, he was robbed and they kidnapped her. But you had another child in the car with you that wasn't kidnapped. So I knew something was fishy about that story with Malia Davis. Then the mother just mysteriously was out of town for a funeral, but your child is missing. I just really refuse to believe that the boyfriend acted alone in killing Malia Davis. I just refuse to believe. I believe the mother was there. I believe the mother knew. I believe the mother told him, take her and get rid of the body. And then you dumped her body at the Arkansas state line. Left her there. You dumped her like she was trash. But again, this child had just had brain surgery months prior to that. And her and her little brother were removed from the home. And then once placed back a month later after returning to the custody of the mother, Malia Davis ends up dead. She ends up dead. The boyfriend was sentenced to 40 years, but the mother is still walking free. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it loud, and I'm going to keep saying it. I refuse to believe that Malia Davis's mother did not have anything to do with the death of her child. I refuse to believe that. Because you were investigated. And these children were removed from your custody. Because Malia allegedly slipped and hit her head on the table, which warranted this baby to have brain surgery. And then a month prior to her being killed, she was placed back into the custody of her mother, her and her little brother. Another question that pondered me with that case was, how did you not know your baby wasn't at daycare? You're paying for it, and you mean to tell me you don't know your child is not at daycare? But the daycare says they were calling the mother. Malia Davis, y'all. Malia Davis. That happened here in Houston. But I want to get back to Jalea Eason. Again, y'all, welcome to another episode of Black Girl Interrupted. Tonight, I'm talking about child abuse. And I'm talking about Jalea Eason. And Jalea Eason, for those that don't know, was the 6-year-old little girl from Bronx, New York, that was brutally beaten to death by her mother at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the neighbors heard, and no one called the police. Neighbors reported hearing this baby screaming, begging for her life. And then they said they heard a thud. And it went silent. So again, you hear this, but you do nothing. You don't call the police. You don't get up to go knock on the door. You don't get up to try to kick in the door. But you're hearing this baby screaming and begging and pleading for her life at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And you do nothing. So again, not only is CPS failing these children, but we as a community of are failing these children. You hear something? Why didn't you get up? Maybe you could have saved this baby's life. I when is this gonna stop? When is this gonna stop? If you are a parent and you don't want the child, give the child to a loved one. Sign your rights over. Give your baby a chance. Because some of you parents out here aren't, these babies don't even have a fighting chance with you. You're killing these babies at 3 months old. You're killing babies at 18 months old. You're killing these kids at 10 years old. Why? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, let me calm down because I really don't want my blood pressure to get up, but I see this constantly. I see these stories come across my timeline. I see these stories come across on TikTok. Beautiful children, so innocent, so pure, who haven't even had a chance to live life because it's violently taken away from them at the hands of a monster. Yes, children cry. Yes, babies are gonna get on your nerves. Yes, kids are they're gonna ask 1,099 questions. But that doesn't warrant you to put your hands on them and brutally kill them or sexually assault them or permanently disable these children because you don't know how to control your emotions. You don't know how to control your temper. If that's the case, get your ass up and go. Walk out the door. Give these babies a fighting chance. They could be the next president, something. But you're not giving them a chance. And then the manner that y'all are killing these children is sickening. I really honestly feel, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm saying this with my chest out. I just want, give me 5 minutes with one. Just 5 minutes with a child abuser. Please. Give me one. Just 5 minutes, just in a room. Just because I want you to feel the same amount of pain that you inflict on these children. That's all I want. I want you to feel that. I want you to know what this feels like to these children, what you've done to these babies. Again, they don't ask that, they're innocent. But this is what y'all do. And I'm so passionate about that because I'm a victim of child abuse. Yeah, I am. My father beat me to the point I ended up in the emergency room and CPS got involved. Yeah, my story. That's why this is so near and dear and passionate to my heart because I have 3 children and I understand. It's overwhelming. I get it, parents. I know. They crying, they won't stop. I know. I get it. Shaking them and beating them, not the answer. That goes hand in hand. Postpartum depression. Look at Andrea Yates. She killed all 5 of her children. No one cared. We fail these children daily. We fail each other daily. Again, these babies do not ask to come here. They don't. You got to be a sick, twisted individual to sexually assault a child. And to enjoy it. That's sickening to me. I wish I could say what I want to say to I don't want to get blocked. So I'm gonna hold those thoughts in my mind. Jalea Eason, y'all, 6 years old from Bronx, New York, killed. Another child failed. by the system. Another child just let down, helpless, and then 2 other children involved as well. 2 other babies. 8, and I believe the other child was 3. Yeah. But they did nothing. And that innocent baby lost her life. For what? Let me take 5 seconds because I have to decompress because I have another story. And I followed this story from the beginning to the end. Mm. The next young lady, her name is Hawaii Robinson. She's from Mobile, Alabama. The beautiful, 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 viciously taken from us. This story here, when I tell you, made me sick in my stomach. For those that don't know, Hawaii Robinson. I believe she was 8. Was brutally raped and killed. And you'll never, ever believe who did this. For those tuning in, y'all, welcome to another episode of Black Girl Interrupted. Y'all already know it's your girl, Ash. And tonight I'm talking about child abuse. Is this the new epidemic? Because it seems to be happening every day. I'm now moving on to Hawaii Robinson, who was from Mobile, Alabama. She was labeled the Pritchard, Alabama princess. I believe she was 8. Who was brutally sodomized and killed. Let me play her story. And then we'll jump back into the conversation.
But an entire community wants to know what happened to this little girl and who did it. It's been 2 weeks since Hawaii's body was found. Here's a look back at how we got to this point.
The frantic and desperate search for 8-year-old Hawaii Robinson started on September 16th. She vanished after leaving her family's Pritchard apartment that Tuesday afternoon. Hawaii's mother said she came home from school, changed clothes, called her dad, and then left to go see her cousin who only lived the next breezeway over. Sadly, she never made it there. In this surveillance video, we see Hawaii buying candy at a convenience store just 3 blocks away from her apartment. The time here, 4:04 p.m. Investigators believe that was the last time the little girl was seen alive.
She got a lot of love. Everybody is hoping for a return. We just want to have her back.
Records show the call to 911 came in just hours after she disappeared at 9:58 p.m. No Amber Alert was issued. Police claim the guidelines were not met.
In this case, we don't have any indication that she was abducted.
The next day, hundreds of volunteers, the Pritchard Police Department, U.S. Marshals, and the FBI searched by air, by canine, and foot. Around that time, the parents came out to thank the community for their support and to beg for the safe return of their precious little girl.
I believe she out there.
The following day came the news no one wanted to hear. Hawaii's body had been found behind a nearby abandoned building near Rebel Road. The Public Works employee who made the discovery said she was naked, lying on her back face up, and in a pile of trash. Just 2 days after the 3rd grader was reported missing.
While you're laying down on the grass, dead.
The only hint of what might have happened to her came hours before the discovery of Hawaii's body. That's when, during this press conference, FBI agents said they believe she might have been taken across state lines.
And we're looking for her like she's our very own daughter.
Then came the call to find this person of interest, a woman who was seen standing behind Hawaii inside that convenience store. After questioning, police said she had nothing to do with the disappearance. It was the last time investigators would talk about the case. But the community spoke in a huge outpouring of emotions. This memorial filled with teddy bears, flowers, and pictures was made where Hawaii's body was found. Over the weekend, visitation was held for Hawaii at Mount Hebron Church. She was laid to rest this past Saturday, September 27th. It was a standing room only crowd for her final going home.
And rewards now total $23,000. If you know anything, even if you think it's something small, that one clue could be the missing link. Call the telephone number on your screen. It is 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Jules says, I can only wish that sperm donor is being repeatedly sodomized on a daily basis. Absolutely. Hi, Bae. I hope you're having a good night at work. I love you. So Hawaii Robinson was discovered 2 days after she went missing. The saddest part about this story is you saw the mother and the father pleading and begging with the community to return Hawaii Robinson. Only to find out, I believe, 2 weeks after her funeral, her father was arrested for the murder and sodomizing of his daughter. When I tell you, this story right here had me sick. I followed it all the way from the beginning to the end. How could you, as a father, sodomize and kill your child? And I did not want to post the reports. So let me say this trigger warning. This baby died while she was being sodomized by her father. Her autopsy showed that. You men are supposed to protect us. You're not supposed to let harm come our way. But you, sir, you took your daughter, you brutally sodomized this baby to the point where she died in the middle of the act, and then you threw her body away like she was trash. And then you got your ass in front of the camera, not one tear rolling down your face, begging for the community to help you bring your daughter back home. You are sick, 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 sick. You are demonic. You are full of the devil. For you, how could you stand in front of a camera and you're begging with the community to help you find your daughter, and all the while you're the one that killed her? That's sick. And then you threw her body out like she was trash. You left her where she was. So you took her out to this field and you left her there. You're right, sis. Jewel says, please stop referring to that demon as a father because he does not deserve that title. You're right, sissy. But the person that gave the sperm to her mother for this baby to come into this world, you took her. And y'all are supposed to protect your daughters. You're supposed to protect your children. Y'all are the protectors. Mothers, we're the nurturers. The fathers are the protectors. I'm not saying moms don't protect, because we do, but the father, because you're our first love. You're the first man to show us how we're supposed to be treated. And what you did to Hawaii Robinson, I hope you never sleep a peaceful night as long as you live. As long as you breathe the same air that I'm breathing, I hope you are repeatedly violated the way you violated this beautiful 8-year-old child who could have been anything she wanted in the world. But you know what? You decided, to perpetuate your sick and twisted sexual pleasure, or whatever you want to call it, on this child that shared your DNA. Hell, it don't even matter if she shared your DNA or otherwise. You shouldn't have did it. If you felt that way, if you had that strong of an urge, you should have got you a blow-up doll. You should have went and took that little punk ass $40 and bought you some cat. It's too many women, it's too many people out here that's selling it, and you choose to take it from an 8-year-old child. And forgive me, y'all. I'm not, I don't want y'all to feel like I'm co-signing for what he did. But it's people. 8 years old. This baby was 8, y'all. 8. 8 years old. Look at her, y'all. That could have been your daughter. That could have been your niece. That could have been your sister. You should be enraged by this. This should upset you to know that this happens. This happened in Mobile, Alabama. I'm sorry, Pritchard, Alabama, which is right outside of Mobile. This is where this happened. And then you got the daddy on TV. I'm so sorry, the sperm donor on TV, boo-hooing and pleading with the community, oh, please help me find my daughter. But all the while, you're the one that killed her. You knew where her body was. You knew where she was. But it was a beautiful thing when they showed up to his door with the warrant. Because on the camera, once he got home, he hurried up and he's washing his clothes. So you come home like nothing. You've brutally sodomized your daughter to the point where she dies, and you go home like nothing. Then you get on national TV begging and pleading with the community, oh my God, please help me find my daughter. Please help me find my daughter. This is what you do. But when I went back and I looked at the video, not one tear was rolling down your face. So you weren't sad. That was a front. You are fake. And I hope that those inmates in prison know exactly what you did. I hope they know. I hope you are repeatedly and savagely brutalized. I hope you are. I want you to feel the same exact pain that you inflicted on 8-year-old Hawaii Robinson. That's what I want you to do. I want you to feel that. I hope every time you close your eyes, that replays in your mind. I hope it haunts you for the rest of your life. I hope it does. And the manner that they found this baby in, absolutely devastating, absolutely heartbreaking that you could do this to a human, let alone a child, defenseless, who could do nothing. Hawaii Robinson, 8-year-old from Pritchard, Alabama, who was brutally taken from this earth at the hands of the very same man she shares DNA with. I just want to take a moment to decompress. And again, y'all, welcome to another episode of Black Girl Interrupted. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank y'all for loving and supporting me the way that y'all do. And tonight's episode, I'm talking about child abuse. Is this the new epidemic? And maybe epidemic may not have been the right word to use, but this just seems to be happening every day. Every time you turn on the news, every time you get on social media, you see a post about a mom doing this to a child, a father doing this to a child, a brother, a sister, somebody harming a child. Again, this was a viewer's request topic. And she didn't specifically say who. So I grabbed some stories that I knew, that I was familiar with, some stories that I had followed and still check in from time to time. Why? A lot of y'all just don't even understand that Black children are suffering at higher rates of abuse, higher than white children, Asian children, Latino children. Yeah. And it says, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, Black children were 3 times more likely to die from abuse or neglect than white children. And you know, Blacks, we only make up a small percentage of the population. So Black children are 3 times more likely to die from abuse or neglect than white children. That should upset you. That should really piss you off to know that these children are being failed daily. I understand. CPS, their caseload, I get it. It's overwhelming. But I want to address the ones that are padding their paperwork, that are lying and saying, oh, they've been out to check on the child, and you haven't. You haven't been to see the child in 6 months. You haven't been to see the child in a year, maybe 2 years. And then this child ends up dead. All because you failed to do your job. All because you failed to follow up. All because y'all take these children away. Let me back up. Y'all remove these children from these families only to put them back in the same situation 2-3 months later. Or you put them with a foster parent and it's even worse with the foster parent. What do we do, America? What do we do as a community to stop this? What do we do? If you see or hear, report it. That's just like Jalea Eason, her situation. The neighbors heard this baby screaming and begging for her life and did nothing. The mother had 2 previous ACS cases against her for her 8-year-old child. But you put the child back in the same situation that you fought to remove them from. I don't get it. Make me understand what these babies have done to you to make you want to kill them. It says, 77% of abuse among Black children occurred in children 0 to 5 years of age. 61% of Black children abused by biological parents. And then 656,000 victims of child abuse / neglect nationwide. 656,000 victims of child abuse and neglect. %77 of abuse among Black children occurred in children 0 to 5 years of age. 0 to 5 years of age. %61% of Black children are abused by biological parents. And then 656,000 victims of child abuse and neglect nationwide. That's a lot of babies, y'all. That's a lot of babies. 656,000. Why? I'm sitting here and my heart is aching as I sit here and do this story and talk about these babies that are no longer here with us. Excuse me. Why? How could you? How could you? I'm going to save this next little girl for the end. And I want to address 2 more stories that I pulled that happened just recently within a week's span. This first story is in Atlanta, Clayton County. And then the next story is in South Carolina. So I want to address this story first, and then I'll go to the second one. So again, they have not released this young man's name because he's a minor. But this is in Atlanta. This is in Clayton County, I believe. I believe it was in Clayton County. But here we go.
A mother and her boyfriend are behind bars tonight, charged with the brutal abuse of a 6-year-old.
Clayton County police say the little boy spent days without medical attention and has severe injuries. Fox 5's Eric Perry was the only reporter there as the child's mother was taken to jail.
This is a story that has even angered Clayton County police and investigators. They let Portia Wells out of this door into a patrol car off to jail while her 6-year-old son fights for his life in a hospital.
Is there anything you would like to say? Nothing at all?
Complete silence from a handcuffed Portia Wells as Clayton County police escort her out of the police department into a patrol car and off to jail. Wells and her boyfriend, Napoleon Aids, face several charges in the abuse of a 6-year-old.
He was punching the 6-year-old like he was a grown man.
Julia Isaac with Clayton County police say they initially got the call to a Metro Atlanta hospital as the child was unresponsive and unconscious, brought in by his mother.
Napoleon Yates believed that the 6-year-old stole $80 from him and gave it to his roommate.
Police believe that was Sunday and say the child was severely beaten for days until his mom took him to the hospital Tuesday. Wells initially told police she wasn't there during the time of the assault, but say she changed her story and stood by as her child was beaten.
She went about her daily life. She went to work. She went and got her nails did. Horrible what this baby had to endure.
Wells and Yates face several child cruelty and battery charges. Wells has an additional charge of lying to police. As for the 6-year-old, he needs your prayers.
The 6-year-old is currently suffering from a brain bleed, a blood clot to the lung, several broken bones.
And there is yet another person impacted by all of this. I'm told Portia Wells had another child, an 8-year-old inside of that house, who's now been handed over to the state. In Clayton County, I'm Eric Perry, Fox 5 News.
Let me say this to you women and to you men. Y'all need to be mindful about who the hell you leave your children around. Because see, a lot of y'all stand around and y'all co-sign on this bullshit that these men and women do to your children. You allowed this man to brutally beat your child, punching your child in the chest, all because he thought the baby stole $80 out of his wallet. You went to work. You went and got your nails and your feet done. But you didn't take your child to the hospital? You are a piss poor excuse for a woman and a piss poor excuse for a mother. I understand you women. Let me address you women, because then I'm going to double back to you men, okay? But let me address you women. You women are so fucking desperate to have a man in your house that you allow them to abuse your children, and you stand by and you say nothing. We see this far too often. These women get these men that are abusive to their children, and you know they are, and you stay with them. You are sad. You are sick, and you are fucked up in the head. Let me just go ahead and say it, because I'm finna get on my soapbox now. Because this story really pissed me off. Because we see this far too often. Like I say, you women, y'all are put any man in the bed with you just to say you got a man at the expense of your child or your children. Half the time you women know that these men are beating your child or they're molesting your children, and you say nothing because you know what? You don't want to be by yourself. You need to go get some therapy for that, because you are sick. You are sick, you are deranged, and you got a fucking problem. Y'all, I'm so sorry to get so vulgar like that, but and then to you men, because these women out here killing these kids too. I remember the story. What was that? A couple of months ago, the girlfriend killed her boyfriend. The wife killed her husband's daughter and stuffed the baby in a trash can and drug her down the street and posted up in front of her mama's house. You men need to be mindful about these women that you let in your house and in your bed and around your children, because a lot of these women are jealous of the relationship you have with your children, or they're jealous of the relationship that you have with the child or the children's mother. So guess what? They go and they kill the child to spite you. All because they don't like the type of relationship you have with the child, with the mother of your child or your children. Y'all need to start doing background checks. Y'all need to start listening to your children. If your child comes to you and says so-and-so is being mean to me, or they touch me, or they hit me, you need to start listening to your children and stop listening to these men or these women that you know ain't going to be permanent fixtures in your life anyway. They're just a warm space in your bed right now. Oh, let me calm down a little bit, because let me take a deep breath. Because we see this. We see this all the time. These women, you don't want to be alone. You want to have a man in your house. but you do it at the expense of your child. And I'm gonna say that. Your child has to suffer. And you stand by and say nothing and you do nothing. I remember the little boy in California. His name was his name. No, not Junior. What is that baby's name? God, what is his name? Because there's a documentary about him on Netflix. But he was a Hispanic little boy out of California who was beaten by the mom's boyfriend, was starved, was hit in the just mm, just brutally abused to the point he died. And through all of that, he would go to school with bruises, still telling his mom he loved him. He loved her. They were making him eat kitty litter, everything. The system failed him. So these are the stories that we see daily, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we see. But what do we do to fix it? What do we do? How do we fix a broken system? How do we fix a system that consistently fails these children on a daily basis? You remove them from these unsafe environments only to put them right back and they end up dead. Only for them to end up dead. And then all you could say is, oh, my caseload. But you're also padding your paperwork as well. And I'm going to say that because you're lying and saying that you went and you checked on the child and you know you haven't. Then you have these parents. If you don't want the child, give that baby to somebody that does. There are so many women out here, so many men out here that would love to be parents. And yet here you are killing them because they won't stop crying. Because they're asking you too many questions. These poor, helpless, defenseless, precious gifts are being so brutally taken from us. I don't even think there's enough room in hell for y'all to fit. I just I really don't get it. Jewel says I think his name was George. I don't know if it was George. Yeah, because Netflix did do a documentary on him. He was a Hispanic, cute little boy. And the mom just got sentenced, I want to say a couple of years ago, because the family, because the little boy was staying with the uncle at first. And then the mom wanted the child back. So they gave the child back to the mom. And the boyfriend was abusive to only him. He wasn't abusive to the other children because I believe she had 3 or 4 other children in the home, but he was the only one that was being abused. And I remember they filed a lawsuit against CPS in the state of California. I believe it was in LA County, and they lost. They lost the lawsuit against the workers, the CPS workers that were assigned to this baby's case. Um, his name is gonna come to me. I know it is, but when you go back and like I said, these children are innocent. The system fails them. We as a community, we fail these children. And yes, I'm gonna keep saying that because that's what happens. But what do we do, ladies and gentlemen? What do we do? How do we curtail this problem? What do we do? How do we stop this from happening? If you hear something, if you know something, y'all report it. Shit, go take action. I mean, let me say this. If I know that a child is being abused, I just have to take that charge, baby. I just have to go to jail for kidnapping or something. I just have to take the charge. Anything to get the baby out of that situation. I just have to take that charge. Yes, sis, that's it. They had him living in a Jules says they had him living in a cabinet or something like that. I know it was a small space that they were putting that baby in all day and night. Right, because they were making him eat kitty litter, they were making him eat cat litter. Um, and he was beaten so bad. And I remember they had shaved his head off and he went to school and the teachers were reporting it. And the CPS never came and did anything about it. Because they would lie and say, "Oh, he was clumsy," and they would coerce the siblings to say that the little boy was clumsy and he would fall down and he would hurt himself. But yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Cute little Hispanic boy. And for Mother's Day, he drew a picture for his mother and was like, "Mommy, I love you." Um, because one of the girls that he was really good friends with he was friends with a little black girl who talked about that despite him coming to school with the bruises and the black eyes, he was still smiling. He was still a happy child. Uh so yeah, that's the one. I can't think of that baby's name, but I know it's gonna come to me. But again, this other young lady, I want to save her for the end because this baby here, y'all just don't even know this baby touched my heart. And the way the father acted, man, if I could have hugged the dad, if I could have just hugged the dad. But here's another story. This is out of South Carolina. This actually happened last week where just see and we'll talk about it.
Tonight, Beaufort County deputies tell us they're investigating after authorities say that a mother drowned her 6-year-old and then attempted to drown her 8-year-old. As our Andy Cole reports, it was their sister who told authorities about this horrific crime.
Sheriff P.J. Tanner has been in law enforcement for 43 years. He says he has never seen a case like this, calling it horrific.
Typically, mothers do not kill their children.
It happened just before 1:30 Friday morning. A 16-year-old was awoken by a scream from her sister.
This is not a typical situation.
According to Beaufort Sheriff P.J. Tanner, she ran into a bathroom and saw her mother attempting to drown her 8-year-old sister. The 16-year-old grabbed her sister, escaped the house off Sam Doyle Drive, and called 911. Deputies responded in 8 minutes.
As we conducted a protective sweep, we found a 6-year-old victim in the home, deceased.
Investigators say 37-year-old Jamie Bradley Brunn drowned her 6-year-old and attempted to drown her 8-year-old. She's been charged with murder and attempted murder.
Do y'all have any sort of sense of why this happened? Because mothers don't kill their kids.
It's more than a sense. I mean, I know what happened. And it's pretty horrific.
Sheriff Tanner is thankful for the bravery displayed by the 16-year-old who found her sister being drowned by her mother and immediately called 911.
This 16-year-old sister, very proud of her. I think she did an unbelievable job. She defended her family when no one else was available to do so until we got there. So again, I think her courage is amazing.
Neighbors we talked to are asking the community to pray for the children, to pray for the family, and to pray for the mother. Reporting in Beaufort, I'm Andy Cole, WJCL 22 News.
So you have a mother who drowned one child and attempted to drown another baby. I'm not praying for the mother. I'm not praying for you. I'm praying for the baby that you took. I'm praying for the baby that you attempted to take. But I'm also praying for your 16-year-old daughter who had to come in and stop you from drowning your other child. You had already killed one. You were attempting to kill another. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I read this story, when I saw it, and when I looked at this woman, she looks like she's mentally disturbed. Mental illness is real, you know. No matter how much y'all try to slice the bread, mental illness is real. And she looks like she's mentally unstable. But one thing I want to give this deputy some pushback on is for him to say women don't kill their children. Yes, they do. You're in South Carolina. You remember Susan Smith? Y'all remember the lady that strapped her two boys into the car and drove her car off into the lake and lied and said two black men kidnapped her children? And come to find out it was her? All because the new man she was dating didn't want children? Let's talk about the lady in Detroit, Michigan, who killed two of her four children and stuffed their bodies in a deep freezer. The list goes on and on and on. So, Sheriff, I'm giving you some pushback on that because stop saying women don't kill their children because they do. Yates, I'm so sorry. Andrea Yates killed all five of her children. She did. So stop saying women don't kill their children because they do. Just like y'all tried to say women weren't predators, sexual predators, and we know they are. But I've already had that conversation. But these children, this is getting out of hand, ladies and gentlemen. This is what do we do? What do we do? What is the solution to this now? Because we're seeing this far too often. How do we fix a system that consistently fails these little black boys and little black girls? We're already trying to battle and tackle mental illness. Then you add police brutality on top of that. Then you add child abuse on top of that. Then you add poverty on top of that. And I'm only speaking about the black community. What do we do? How do we fix this? I gotta take all of this in as I go into this last story for the night. This baby here, her name is Anaya Day Garrett. Oh. This baby was 4 years old from Euclid, Ohio, who was being abused at the hands of not only her mother, but her mother's boyfriend. I want to say a week or so prior to the custody hearing, because the father was fighting to get custody of this baby. She dies. This baby died of a stress-induced stroke. I saved this one for last because this one hurt me the most. It's because you had a father who was fighting to get custody of his baby. The baby would say she didn't want to go home. She wanted to stay with her daddy. She died. Anaya Day Garrett was 4 years old. And didn't stand a fighting chance. Again, I saved this one for the end because, like I said, this one touched me the most. Because you had a father that was out here fighting for custody of his child. He knew the baby was being abused. People say, oh, why didn't he just kidnap her? Why didn't he keep her? Because he didn't want to ruin the risk of getting custody of his child. Here's the story of Anaya Day Garrett.
Development tonight at 6. I'm 5 on Your Side investigator Sarah Buttison.
A large bruise on her left eye, burns on her feet and legs, fingers so thin you could actually see her joints. That's how police described the body of 4-year-old Anaya Day when they found her lifeless in her Euclid home on Sunday. Anaya's mother and her boyfriend were arrested for her death. We found public records showing the abuse had been going on for quite some time. News 5's Amanda Van Allen has been digging through the paperwork. And Amanda, this abuse was documented by several agencies.
It was incredibly well documented for over a year and a half. Case after case was opened by Family and Children's Services and then closed. The question now is, did the system fail little Anaya Day? A young life taken too soon. 4-year-old Anaya Day was killed over the weekend, and police say it was at the hands of her own mother, Sierra Day, and her mother's boyfriend, Deontay Lewis, in their Euclid home. Here's the 911 call Day made to police when Anaya died. 3.5 minutes into the conversation, and she finally tells the dispatcher very calmly the 4-year-old is unresponsive.
Like, I put my hands up to her nose to see if she was breathing, and I didn't feel no air coming out. Like she got her eye open.
Wait a minute, is she not breathing?
No.
Your child is not breathing?
No.
Okay, let's do CPR then.
Authorities say Day was abusing her daughter for about a year and a half. These police records show documentation of the alleged abuse. They're all from Anaya's daycare. They wrote down and dated every single incident, from busted lips to bumps on her forehead to a hand imprint on the side of her face. All of these reports went to Children and Family Services. The agency looked into them and closed the cases, but no one knows why. News 5 called and emailed CFS, but we haven't heard back. A house visit was planned for Monday, but the 4-year-old was killed before a caseworker could get there.
When kids play, they fall, they hurt themselves on their knees, their chin, their elbow, the bony parts of the body. But when you see injuries on the fleshy parts of the body, that's a little bit, out of the norm, and maybe we need to look into it a little further.
Carrie Joseph from the Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center says agencies take many steps to determine child abuse.
Generally when they go out on the investigation, they're going to look into as many areas as possible to determine, if there is a cause here, if there is a reason for concern.
Back out here live now, you can still see a small memorial sits outside little Anaya Day's apartment. News 5 has also learned that several police reports have been made because of a domestic calls made to this home. We are live tonight in Euclid. Amanda Van Allen, News 5.
A new
I really don't think y'all even understand how much that story touched me. That baby had been, she was only 4 years old. That baby was abused pretty much her entire life. And for the mother to so calmly call 911 and say, my child is not breathing. How? How could you? This is a prime example when I say the system fails these children. Multiple cases opened, police called, documentation, and this baby still ended up dead. 4 years old. I remember when they released the autopsy and they stated this baby died from a stress induced stroke at 4 years old. She only weighed, how many pounds did they say she weighed? 10 pounds, 12 pounds. She was very tiny. And nothing was. I look at this beautiful, beautiful little girl who looked to be so full of life. She looked like she just loved to laugh, loved to play. Suffered for a year and a half. Mind you, she was only 4 years old. So they started abusing her when she was a year and a half. If my math is right. So 2.5 years old. I'm sorry, y'all. 2.5 years old. At 2 years old, what could this baby do to you? The father was fighting to get custody of her. Why didn't you let her go? Why? If I know something is terribly wrong with my child, I'm immediately calling 911. I'm going to be in hysterics. I'm all over the place. But she was just calm. And then again, a few minutes into the call is when you finally tell them, oh, she's not breathing. But the dispatcher had to ask you, was this baby breathing? Yeah, she's not breathing. Anaya Day Garrett was 4 years old. Multiple reports, open cases that were closed, and this baby ended up dead. 4 years old. I remember when the mom and the boyfriend were sentenced. Well, let me say this. The carrier of this child was sentenced. My sister says they have no feelings at all. Why put them in jail just to do to them what they did to them? Absolutely. The pain and hurt that I still have after 2 years still gets me every day. These cowards. Absolutely. Because this baby had burn marks on the bottom of her feet. Like I said, I didn't want to post the autopsy report because it's devastating. This baby, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she only weighed uh 15 pounds, I believe, at the time that she died. I believe that's how much she weighed. I believe she only weighed about 15 pounds. And the father was fighting for custody. And the day that the mother and the boyfriend were sentenced, the mother sat there as if she did nothing wrong. Stone faced. The boyfriend taunted the dad, you know. There's a high place in hell for people like y'all. Again, you women, y'all need to be mindful again with who y'all bring around your children. Y'all little cootie cats be throbbing and you just be ready for any man, but it be at the expense of your child. And you stand by and you let it happen. You don't do anything about it. You don't say anything. And you men, you need to be mindful with these women you bring around your children. Because there was a case in Atlanta where a stepmother starved her stepdaughter to death and the father knew about it. The father, I believe, was sentenced to life in prison, and the stepmother was sentenced to the death penalty in Atlanta. You got Cupcake out of Alabama. You had another baby here in Houston whose mom and boyfriend said, oh, they ran in the house for a moment. They came back and the child was gone. And then a couple of days later, the baby's body was floating in Bray's Bayou. The mama all on TV, hysterical. But all the while, you and the boyfriend are the one that killed her. Then your CPS gets these cases. They don't look into them. They don't investigate. And they close them. And then these children end up dead. They end up dead. How? How could you do this? Again, there are women out here that cannot have children due to circumstances that they could not prevent. Give these babies to these parents that really want to love and nurture and care for these babies. Give them to them. If at the time of birth you don't want the child, leave the baby at the hospital. Drop the baby off at the fire station. Give that baby a fighting chance. If you know your mental is not capable, give these babies a fighting chance. Give these babies to somebody that you know is going to take care of these babies. They don't deserve this. They don't deserve to be brutalized. They're innocent. They're helpless. They're not a threat to you. But this is what happens. Case overload. They get caught up in the system and no one bats an eye. Then they get with these foster families that treat them the very same way as the family that they just left or the situation they just left. We're failing them. The system is failing them. Everybody's so worried about what the hell Donald Trump got going on. But you got these babies that are dying every day and you say nothing. Y'all talk about Donald Trump all day. I don't give a damn about Donald Trump. I'm more concerned about with this 4-year-old child whose life may end today. That's what I'm concerned about. I don't give a damn about Donald Trump. Y'all care more about these reality shows than these children. Y'all will sit and post about the Real Housewives of Atlanta or Love and Hip Hop, whatever it is. And then when I do shows like this, y'all don't want to talk about it. But now I bet you if I was doing a show and I'm talking about the latest gossip or who's sleeping with who, I bet y'all would all be ready for that conversation. But I'm talking about something that makes sense. I'm talking about a situation that's going on in your backyard. I'm talking about a situation that could be going on in your house right now. You might have a boyfriend who's touching on your child or who's brutally abusing your child, and you're not saying anything. That's what I'm talking about. But if I was sitting up here talking about some shit that had nothing to that about some gossip, oh, y'all would love that. This could be your child I could be telling this story about. This could be one of your loved ones that I could be sitting over here telling a story about. Y'all need to start caring about shit that really, truly matters. We have to start saving our children. Again, they are being felt consistently, not only by the community, but by the system. Funding is not going where it needs to be. They more worried about funding other countries instead of taking care of what's going on over here. You got homeless people over here. You got these overworked, underpaid teachers over here. Y'all need to start contributing to shit that makes sense. We have to start protecting our children, even if that means doing it on our own and just taking the L for it. Because I'm here to tell you, if I hear or know of a child being abused, hell yeah, I'm going to report you. Now what? Fight me. Absolutely, I'm going to report you. Because these children don't ask to come here. You chose to lay down and have that baby. You chose that. So you either step up and be a parent, or you give that child to someone that wants to be a parent, that you know for a fact can love, nurture, and support and care for the child the way that this child is supposed to be cared for. They need to be loved correctly. They need to be nurtured. But if you know that's not what you want, you know that you're not capable of doing that, leave the child at the hospital. Take the baby to the fire station. Drop the baby off at the police department. Do something. I'd rather you do that than to brutally beat the child to death. I would rather you do that. So this last video is the sentencing of Anaya Day's mother and the boyfriend. And then I want to roll into my final thoughts for tonight.
With the jury in this case being duly and panel sworn to find the defendant Sierra Day guilty of aggravated murder.
Guilty on all counts. Nearly a year after the death of 4-year-old Anaya Day Garrett, a jury needed just hours to find her mother, Sierra Day, and her mother's boyfriend, Deontay Lewis, guilty of aggravated murder. The dramatic decision was the emphatic ending to a week-long trial that featured evidence showing the two starved, neglected, and beat the little girl until her body finally had enough. News 5's Jordan Vandenberg has covered this story from the beginning and has reaction to today's verdict.
Well, in the end, the evidence was simply overwhelming, but today likely won't be the end of this case, as the loved ones of the little girl may look to the Cuyahoga County Division of Children and Family Services may try to hold them accountable as well. Like a stone statue, Sierra Day sat silently as the jury held her accountable for her daughter's death. The guilty verdict for Deontay Lewis set off even more emotion, culminating in a back and forth between Lewis and Anaya's biological father.
We're going to be okay. You know, we're going to be okay. It's not over. It's over. Come on. I got you.
The trial that spanned 6 days featured evidence showing the two siphoned the life out of Anaya slowly through neglect and abuse before the little girl died of a trauma-induced stroke. In the months that followed, the Cuyahoga County Division of Children and Family Services came under fire for mistakes that were made in its handling of Anaya's case. While prosecutors did not mention the controversy directly, they did say this after the verdict was read.
Everyone has a responsibility in our community to do your job. There are some who did their job. I applaud the Euclid Police Department for doing their job.
And others?
I applaud the Euclid Police Department for doing their job.
This is the first step in responsibility and accountability for Anaya's death. There are certainly other responsible parties that will be held accountable. The system failed Anaya and the Garrett family, and that system will be held accountable.
As News 5 first reported, state officials reviewed the county's handling of Anaya's case and found caseworkers failed her at seemingly every turn. Follow-up investigations weren't done, records were not collected, and basic procedures were not followed. The county has implemented some changes, including creating a review board and adding retired police officers to aid with investigations. Sierra Day and Deontay Lewis will be sentenced March 20th. In the newsroom, Jordan Vandenberg, News 5.
Again. Everybody needs to be held accountable. And correction, y'all, the baby died from a trauma-induced stroke at 4 years old. Again, to the mother, I'm so sorry, the carrier of Anaya Day Garrett, I hope you never rest peacefully. To the boyfriend, I hope that beautiful, beautiful baby's face haunts you for the rest of your life. Because again, this baby looked like she was full of life, ladies and gentlemen. This baby looked like she wanted to play with dolls and she just wanted to go outside and just, but she was abused. Brutally abused to the point that her body just couldn't take it anymore. To the family of Anaya Day Garrett, I saved this baby's story for the end. I pray that justice is served and know that Anaya's, no, her death was not in vain. These babies don't ask to come. If you don't want them, don't have them. Give those babies to someone who will love them and who will take care of them babies because they're innocent. I promise they didn't ask to come here. I promise they're so innocent. They're so helpless. All they want to do is play. They just want to live. They want to be children. But you parents don't let them. Every one of these stories has touched me so deeply tonight. Every last one of them. I pray that I don't have to sit on this side of the camera and tell your child's story. I pray that I don't. Anaya, we love you. If she was still here, that baby would be 11 years old. She would be 11. She would be in the 6th grade, maybe 5th or 6th grade. Hey, sissy. Suave says, wow, both just standing there cold hearted. Poor baby. Yeah. So let me go into my final thoughts. 1 in 4 children are victims of child abuse. Again, 77% of abuse amongst Black children occurred between the ages of 0 and 5. 61% of Black children are abused by their biological parents. And then you have 656,000 victims of child abuse/neglect nationwide. That's a lot. It's only 365 days in a year. 366 if it's leap year. So you do the math. That's how many children, how many little Black children are dying due to abuse and neglect, or are victims of abuse and neglect. 656,000 victims nationwide. Y'all, we as a people, we have to come together. And we have to start taking care of and saving our youth, our children, our babies. If you notice any types of bruises on a child, report it. Don't stand by and say nothing. Because that's what happened in Jalea Eason's case. Neighbors heard this 6-year-old being brutally beaten, and no one said anything. No one called the police. Then you have the family in South Carolina whose 16-year-old had to run in and physically snatch her 8-year-old sister from her mother to prevent her from drowning her, although she succeeded in drowning the 6-year-old. Let's send prayers to the baby in Atlanta whose mother allowed her boyfriend to beat this child, punch him in the chest, all because he assumed the child stole $80 out of his wallet. And the mom decides to go get her nails and her feet done and go to work. Again, this happens daily. But now that we know the problem, now it's time to come up with the solutions. Because again, these children don't ask to come here. So you parents, you women, you need to be mindful with who you allow in your house and around your children. And same applies to you fellas. You need to be mindful of the women that you allow in your house and around your children, because jealousy is real. We saw this a couple of months ago where the lady killed her husband's daughter, stuffed the baby in a trash can, and drug her down the street and dropped her in front of her mother's house. It's time for us to take our children back. Again, we're dealing with mental health. We're dealing with police brutality and now child abuse. We're also dealing with maternal deaths, poverty. How much more can we take? So as I bring this episode to a close, if you know anybody that may be going through this child abuse, there's the 1-800 number. That's the National Child Abuse Hotline. Any reports you make are anonymous. If you can't save all of them, at least try to save one. I know we can't save them all, but let's try to save one. All right. So for Thursday night, my upcoming episode is about plastic surgery and the risk of cosmetic surgery and the risk of being beautiful. I believe that's what that episode is called. I don't know, y'all. My mind is all over the place right now, but I'm going to be addressing the risks of cosmetic surgery and the things that we as women do to be beautiful at the expense of our health. That's Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm streaming live from Facebook and YouTube, and you can catch the replays on all streaming platforms. That's the upcoming episodes for Black Girl Interrupted podcast. Um, Also, if you would like to be a guest on the show, there's the website at the bottom. Send an inquiry. Allow me at least 72 hours to respond to your request. If there's a topic that you would like for me to bring to the forefront, if there's a conversation that you want to be had, even if you just want to have random conversation, let me know. So I want to close by saying this. I love you guys. I appreciate all the love and support that y'all show me each and every episode that I have. But I also want you to know, keep living your dreams. Don't ever give up. Don't get discouraged when no one is clapping for you because somebody's watching you. They may not be clapping, but somebody's watching you. Whatever it is that you're going through, you're not alone. There's so many resources out here. Don't suffer in silence. I want everyone to take care of your mental, protect your peace. You don't owe anybody anything. If anything, you owe it to yourself. Be great. You are great. Don't let anyone else tell you differently. But I love y'all. Again, happy Tuesday. I will see y'all Thursday night. Same time, same place. And I love you, love you, love you. Y'all be good and good night.